let's start here. So thank you everybody for joining. If you are watching via YouTube, this workshop we divide in three parts. So this is the part one. Probably on the descriptions, you're gonna have the part two and three. Okay. So first, I'm gonna start who I am and why this workshop exists. Uh, Basically the workshop exists because my personal story that I'm gonna tell you in few minutes. But the workshop, what we're gonna do today, we're gonna explain why your brain sabotage your diet. And then next Tuesday, we're gonna tell how to actually sustain diet without perfection. And then the last day, we're gonna talk about how can we stop failing, right, in someone's chaos. Basically, what we're going to do, we're going to talk a lot about stress and anxiety because those things are the main components that make you fail in diet. Okay. So before you say, oh, but diet is for who wants to lose weight. If you're 40 plus, I would say you're going to need diet because you're going to need protein intake. Your muscles are decreasing year by year, and we need protein because protein is the raw material to build muscles. So you need diet anyway. If you want to lose weight, if you want to maintain your weight, if you want to build muscles, if you want be healthy, you're gonna need diet no matter what. Uh, I know it's not the most pleasure thing to do in life, but this is for that collection. Like I work, but I don't like it. I wash dishes, but I don't like it. I train, but I don't like it. And I diet too, but I don't like, but I need it, right? So about my story, I lost 56 pounds and I ha I have to discover a lot of things that I'm gonna show you now. Let me show you something here. So this this is my before and after, right? Before I was bring me hormones. My life was to bring me hormones and bring me everything, right? And one day I got to the point that I could sustain the pain anymore because I was pre-diabetic and I decided to change. So let me do something here. Yeah, and go back where we are. 1 minute. Here we go. But where my story starts, so I tried for 20 years, I tried to lose weight. And the impact in my life was not only about weight. The weight brought me pre-diabetes, but brought me impact in my marriage, especially my marriage, in my career, in my finance, and in my mother as a mother, right? So my turning point, it is when one day I went to the school of my son, and when I returned, my husband told me, your shirt is inside out. When I looked at that, I saw that that day I forgot to brush my teeth. It was already about 3 or 4 days that I did not comb my hair. And that moment, I realized I was practicing self-abandonment. And that was very painful. And that was when I started to look for help. And when I found the doctor, And the doctor told me, you need to take GLP-1. The doctor gave me a very bad news. The doctor told me that 92% of the women who lose weight with GLP-1, they regain, right, back. They gain back. And when I heard that, I got desperate because I said, how I'm gonna take by the time was 2023 when GLP-1 was very new in the market. So I said, how I'm gonna do this because GLP-1 by that time was very expensive. The insurance did not cover. And the how I'm gonna pay $1,200 in something that later on I'm gonna have all my weight back. I have 92% of chance. And I asked her, what is the solution? And she told me she had no idea. But she gave me two advice that transformed my life. The first advice that she gave me was she said, go there and model people who lost weight and never gain again. And I start to search about those people. And I found a very common pattern uh, among them, which was action. All of them, they change their behavior, they create a new identity, and that's the way that they kept the results. And I found out that the issue was not only diet and exercise, had much more stuff inside to keep the weight off. So they, I realized their main focus was not collecting information because when we want to lose weight, the first thing that happens, we want to uh, collect information. And those people, they act much more than collect information. So execution was the missing part. So the women who sustain result are not the women who knows more about diet, but they are the women who execute. And when I saw that pattern, that model, I said, interesting how they live. And another um, advice that she gave me, she said, focus on protein intake. And don't focus because you want to build muscles now, because I was very fat by the time. She said, focus now because protein intake is not something easy to make. This is a raw material for muscles. And then I start learning with bodybuilders how to do that. So the result was I lost the 56 pounds. I was not sag at all. No, I don't have uh, arms or legs that are sag because I changed my behavior. And the most important, I killed the good girl that I'm gonna explain it to you. What is the good girl? The good girl, it is the girl who please everybody, who put everybody in front of her, and she's never the priority. Because of that, I I'm gonna explain to you how to get that because of that I practice self-abandonment. The self-abandonment comes from the good girl. The good girl is the one who pleases everybody. So when I leave the good girl, I could make this. And then I start to volunteer and help other women. And then I help more than 100 women to change the behavior and to leave this self-abandonment, to be priority, to have self-priority. And then I create a methodology. The name is Mind Guards. And we have more than 100 women transformed. If you want to follow my Instagram, it is Nivea Rocha at Behavioral. And also, I created this Facebook group. Why I created this Facebook group? First, to share information for free with you. The Facebook group it is Welcome to Women 40 Plus Support, New Jersey and beyond. If you are in the YouTube, the description is gonna the name of the group is gonna be on the description. And in this group, I plan to help more women too, not only for my business, but also for free. Okay. So let's understand why weight loss and maintenance are so challenged. So, our body, the purpose of our body is the survival mode. Our body is going to make everything to survive. So, what our body does when we lose weight, I have a graphic here that I'm going to show you with you. Just 1 minute. Let me move the other graphic. Here we go. Let's understand how weight loss works, right? I put it here in kilos, but if you think in pounds, okay? So when you start to lose weight, what's happened? The drop is very fast because you lose water a lot, right? But if you keep in going, you're gonna notice that the weight, the drop is not so fast anymore, right? We need 7,700 calories per kilo. Per, sorry, we need a deficit because calorie deficit, it is something that really make you lose weight. By the way, it's the only thing. The only thing that make you lose weight, the name is calorie deficit. So you need 7,700 calories deficit to lose 1 kilo. So, but you're coming here on this curve, and suddenly this curve gets stuck, and we name it this plateau. Why this happened? It's happened because the purpose of the body it is to survive. It's survival, right? It is survival. What the body does because people say healthy weight loss does not exist health weight loss because the body thinks you're getting sick and the body starts to get create mechanisms for you to go back to your initial weight. And one of the mechanisms that the body does is increase the hunger, right? The metabolism starts to go down. It means the body needs less calorie to survive, and the hunger starts to going up. And in that moment, instead of you keeping lose weight, what's happened? Your weight starts to going back. It is so true. If you ask someone who lost weight and say, ask them, this is the lower weight that you had in your life, they're going to say no. Because when you get to the lower one, the body starts to going up again. Because the body thinks you're dying. It is a survival mode. So that's why a lot of people, when they stop GLP-1, they gain everything back. So there are some mechanisms for you to keep the weight, but most of the people they are gonna need a GLP-1 for the rest of their life. And who are those people? Those people are the one who has cravings. If they have a lot of cravings, probably not everybody, but most of people, they're gonna need GLP-1 for the rest of the life. But it is bad news? No, because before we have medications that was very bad, right? With a lot of uh, side side effects and this kind of thing. But right now, GLP-1 is improving the health of a lot of people. So the only negative part, it is the price that I see. Or if you have a disease that your doctor say, oh, you cannot take it. But if you don't have, if you have the money to buy or your insurance cover that, and you don't have those diseases, you're fine. Okay. So the solution to keep the weight forever, right? That's what we are going to explain here. Okay. So when women they regain weight, they feel so bad, but it's not their fault. It's not their failure. It is lack, one part is lack of information, and another part is biology. The biologists tell you that you cannot be in that weight because if you stay in that weight, it's not safe for your survival. But we want to be in that weight, right? So we need to create a lot of mechanisms, right, to continue in the same weight. That I'm going to explain here what are the mechanisms. So before you start blaming why my doctor never told me about this, that probably I'm not gonna get out of GLP-1 anymore. When we finish to lose weight, the probably the weight's gonna be returned if I don't have all these mechanisms that I'm explaining to you now. Well, let's understand, right? Your doctor, he works for profits, for money. If you stop to take GLP-1 for not without judgment, but let's be honest, for his business is not good because you're not going to see him anymore, right? So why he would have interest in tell you or make a plan to you for you to stop GLP-1? No. And also, if he follows what the farm industry say, right? The farm industry has a lot of profits with GLP-1. Why the farm industry is going to make another medication, create a medication that maintain the price, the weight? No interest to, right? And then before we bring the farm medication, the farm industry has to please the stakeholders, right? And who are the stakeholders? Us. So what I want to show you doesn't have anyone to blame in this system because we are an assistant. What we need to do, we really need to make strategies for not being overweight anymore in life. That's it. Because we already saw the system is not in our favor. The biology is not in our favor because want us to go back to the initial weight, and the farm loop is not in our favor neither, right? So what we need to do is create permanent solution. And where is the permanent solution that I found out? To fix that comes from the behavioral root. We're going to need to change our behavior no matter what, because diet and exercise by themselves is not going to fix that. You're going to need more stuff. And look at this. How crazy is this? I'm going to show you how cortisol works for you to see how we need to change the behavior. Let me show you another slide here. So, when we get stressed, let's say that we had argument with our husband or something like that. Our body become unstable. There is no balance. And because there is a discomfort, the body start asking for dopamine. And in that moment, the body pretty much, when you have an argument or you are worried or you are annoyed with something, the body start to be uncomfortable. The body's like that. To be comfortable again, to the body do like this, the body asks for dopamine, right? And there is a dopamine request. So the easiest way to get dopamine, it is sugar. That's why every time when you are stressed, your body asks for sugar because sugar is a quick fix, right? So let's say that I give sugar to my body and then the body come down for a few seconds. And then because I did not change my behavior, I practice perfectionism. So I start to say, now that I already ate sugar now, right? Because I fail on the diet, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back to track next Monday, next month, on New Year's evening. So I start to procrastinate. So I procrastinate because I don't accept that I fail. I start saying, now that I already ate, let me eat more Monday I come back. And then I start feel guilty. And then I repeat again because the body starts sugar something that you eat once, you want more, you want more. And then you get stressed again and you never leave this loop, right? You don't leave this loop, not because you got stressed the first, but because you live in perfectionism. That's something that I'm going to explain on the next uh, part of the workshop. Okay, so go back here on the presentation. Let me go back on the map for you to see. 1 minute. Okay, so when you have cravings, the cravings like that. The cravings, when you have the first one, it's not a problem. But the problem is because you live in perfectionism and you say, no, that starts to be a cycle, right? And to break that, you need to change your identity. So you're not gonna be the girl who goes to Paris to eat anymore. You have to be the girl who go to Paris to talk with people, to connect with people. So you have to build an identity using true love. You love yourself so much that you are not brave enough to continue to eating sugar. Okay, this self-care is a daily behavior practice. So going to the gym, it is self-love. Take care about your diet, it is a self-love. Take care about your hormones, it is self-love. But for you to do that, you need an environment that helps you. And I'm going to talk about the environment, the diet environment, on the second day. Because today you go to CVS, you see what you see medication? No, you see food. You see food everywhere. So the environment does not help us, We're going to have to change the environment. And you're going to say, but this is so difficult. My husband brings um, sugar every day home. On the second day, I'm going to give you a lot of um, strategies to deal with this environment. Okay. So for you to have this permanent solution and be on the maintenance, you're going to have to end the self abandonment, right? That's the way that you're going to keeping going, loving yourself, no self abandonment anymore, and no please each other. You are the priority. You are the priority. You're not selfish when you put yourself first, because most of the women, they think they are selfish when they put themselves first. But you have to remember, on the airplane principle, what's happened? If you don't have air, you cannot give air to someone else. So that's why you need to be priority. If you don't give priority to you, your family is gonna eat crumbs. That's the reality. And this is what we're gonna talk on the second and the third day. Okay. So another thing that you have to do to keep the permanent solution, you need to practice 6 things and pay attention to the same thing. First, HRT, hormones. There is a lot of prejudice against hormones, but we need to understand that a woman after 35 years old, she started losing hormones. Hormones start, the sexual hormones start to going down. The drop, it is very severe when she arrive in 50s, for example. What we do, we replace what is missing. It's not that we're gonna put hormones in our body that's more than we need. We just put replace what we lost. Because after 30, because let's think about this. What is the function of the body? The body has 4 functions. We born, we grow up, we reproduce, and we die. After the reproduction part, guess which part is coming? The death part. I know it is sad to say like that, but it is the reality. After 35, or after the reproduction time is done, the body starts to prepare for the death. But we have ways to get longevity on this. And the ways that we do it is tricking the body. How we tricking the body? We are gonna replace the hormones so the body thinks we are still on the reproduction phase. The second thing, we're gonna build muscles. Why? Because muscles consume a lot of calories. Because muscles consume a lot of calories, remember that I show on the graphic that the hunger goes up after you lose weight? So you can eat more and you are not gonna be fat. So we need to build muscles after 40s for a lot of things. But for those who wants to keep the weight off, the we need to build muscles, because muscles gonna help us to keep this weight forever. But to build muscles, we're gonna need to sleep. And then you're gonna say, oh no, 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 no. I cannot sleep. Muscles are not built when you are in the gym. Muscles are building when you are sleeping. So that's why all your hormones, they are building when you are sleeping. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. So you're gonna need a plan for sleep. Otherwise, you cannot hold that. You cannot keep the weight off. Another thing, it is the gut health, intestine. So if you don't have a good intestine, it's not going to be processed correct. And also you're not going to have the weight off, right? But the main part that you're going to have to care to keep this weight off is the stress management. Why? Because every time that you get stressed, your cortisol goes up, and that thing blocks fat melting. Because it's like, for you to understand, it's like that. Let's say that I get stressed. When I get stressed, because my body was made for the cave times, the body understands that I'm going to have a physical fight. And the body stop all functions to prepare for that fight because this is a survival mode. So fat melt is not an important function when you are prepared for a fight. The body between prepare you, get strong for a fight, and the melt fat, the body's going to prefer you get strong for a fight. So what's happened when you get stressed, all your cortisol is going to go to your muscles for you to be strong, and your focus in that moment got like stronger for the fight function, not for rational other things, only for the fight function. So the cortisol is the best anti-inflammatory for your body, right? But you're using this to support stress. And that's not good. That's why so many women, they ask why we lose hair when we are lose weight. We lose hair because the body understands that you're not going to survive. You are losing fat because fat, it is security for the body, right? The body thinks it's safe, right? When it has fat in the body. So you're losing fat. The body said, uh-oh, she's not going to survive. I need to save energy here. What I can get rid to that she's going to keep and survive, and it's not going to be a problem. The first thing is the hair. Oh, she does not need hair to survive. I can get rid of her hair, right? It is so true that when you finish the weight loss, after some months, your hair is back. Because then that's the moment when your weight is stabilized, that's the moment when the body understands that you're not in danger anymore. So you can have hair back. Okay. So the stress management, I'm gonna focus that on the third day. Okay. Uh, and continue here. So the summary of today is why we regain weight. We regain weight because of the survival mechanism of the body. The body understands that once you are losing weight, you're not going to survive. You don't have storage. You don't have storage of energy because fat is energy, right? So we need to trick the body. The hunger increase exactly for you to go back to guarantee that you're going to survive. Why my body fights so much to return for the old weight? Exactly because of this. So, and then you're going to ask, are we going to have peace? I would say, no, I'm going to tell you the truth, but there are ways to minimize this. You're going to say, but I want to not think about this anymore. If you have cravings, you always gonna have to think about this. Always gonna have to manage this because if you don't manage, you're gonna go up, right? But we have mechanisms to do this. So all information is not enough. We need to do a series of things like gym. We need to change our behavior. We need to change our identity. We are not overweight identity anymore. We are going to have a new identity for a person who keep the weight, not identity for someone who's losing weight. We change identity, right? And this is not a lack of willpower. When people say, but this is willpower, come on. Willpower vanishes in the shower. This is biology. And this we can change with behavior change. That's the piece that it is missing. That's the piece that's going to keep us with the same weight and healthy and bring us longevity. What's going to bring longevity is not peptides. You can take all the peptides in the world. But if you don't change the behavior, you don't do the self-love, you don't get rid of the self-abandonment, you don't give priority to yourself, you're not going to get this. Okay? So what we're going to cover on day 2. So we're going to cover exactly how to keep this weight off and how to sustain the diet without perfectionism. Because remember when I told you, once we are perfectionists, that we want to follow the diet in the, let's say you go to a nutritionist and they give you a PDF for you and you want to follow all the book, everything, girls, you can't do that because life happens. I remember, I don't know if Rose is here, but she told us that she was doing so well on the weight loss and suddenly her father became sick. So life happened. When life happened, even with when life happened, we need to stick on the diet without forcing. How we do that? We do that when we change the behavior. Okay. I'm gonna let you go, girls, this. I don't know if someone has questions, then we can go. I can stop sharing my screen. If someone has questions, feel free to ask. Hey, Deborah, you can.
Yeah, hi,
Hi.
Lydia. So, can you just explain a little bit more about longevity? Because I never made the correlation that you made about longevity.
Okay, the longevity. It's like that, Deborah. When we are 35, the body understands the reproduction phase is over,
Hmm.
or it is getting through the path to be over. Okay? It is when estrogen and progesterone, the two main sexual hormones, start going dropping. Okay?
Hmm.
It's basically like the bodies prepare us to the death. I know it's sad to say it like that, but when you think like that, it is better to accept because then you can do something against this than say, but this is so sad to say this. But it is true. And most of the women, they don't know this. I did not know this. I was learning this when I was 49. So we need to trick the body. Once we trick the body, we can live more because the body thinks we are still on the reproduction phase. That's why HRT are so important because the HRT, what we do, we replace what it is missing, and the bodies, when under the reproduction phase has a lot of muscles, right? We build the muscles, we replace the hormones. The body thinks we are still on the reproduction phase. That's the way we trick the body and we keep the longevity. So,
So,
muscles, HRT, far from the stress, all the six parts and the diet is very, very important because if you are going to keep eating junk food, you're not going to build muscles. You're not going to build muscles because for build muscles, you need to eat clean and take the protein intake. So the way that because what is longevity? Trick the body. Basically, is that, right? Because
yeah,
everybody is looking for longevity. Oh, this is a new trend. But what is this? We're going to trick our body. And for example, I am 52. I have a lot of energy. When I was 40, I did not have this energy. I have the energy. Why? Because I trick my body. My body think I'm in the reproduction phase.
I love that. That makes so much sense. The HRT is like one of the missing pieces for longevity because it tricks the body that
Yes.
we're still 35 under 35 biologically for a while. Okay.
Yes. It's like you have the hormones, the body's going to say, no, she's not close to the death. And then you keep it going,
Yeah.
right? The science, we need to say, thank God for the science. And unfortunately, Deborah, here in US, we don't have a campaign because there is a lot of prejudice against hormones. And people don't understand what is HRT. HRT is just the replacement. You're not going to get that to be uh it's only what's missing. And then a lot of women they say, oh, but I didn't get it good with HRT. Because here's the deal, because there's a lot of prejudice, we don't have a lot of doctors who understand about dosage.
Oh, I know. I had to shop for a doctor that could help me with that.
Yes,
First doctor I went, she sent me down. You know what? Just go to the gym, get a personal trainer. You're gonna be okay. And I
yes,
said, no, I know my body. I don't feel like myself.
yes,
Then I went to a second one, and then she said, okay, let's give it a HRT a try. And then when I start feeling like myself again, because I was not feeling well.
yes. And let me tell about dosage. Here's the deal. Each women are different, right? It's like, let's understand this, like the tank of the gas tank of your car, right? You have a gas tank, I have another one. So we cannot fill out with the same gallons, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have different. So because of the pressures, doctors want to make money, right? I don't have so much customers that's looking for HIT. Why I'm gonna study something so deep if I'm not gonna have a lot of customers. You know what I mean? This is a
Mm-hmm.
marketing problem too, commercial problem too. So for you to find a doctor that really understands that dosage, you're gonna, and usually are the old ones because they have a lot of experience because it's not easy. And when you start the HRT, you have, first thing, you have to be very patient because it's very difficult. You get right on the first time. And even when you get right, because your body keeping change, you always have to keep adjusting. I already had my body adjust, not adjust. Now is adjust again, but always keeping looking. So that concept, I go to the gynecologist once in a year, does not exist anymore. You have to keeping checking all the time.
Yeah. I have to do that. I had to advocate for myself many times about special estradiol.
Yeah, yeah.
But now I
So
feel good. I feel really good.
so that's why HRT is so important. Unfortunately, the government doesn't make a campaign, right, to take this prejudice out.
Yeah.
Because GLP-1, it is expensive, give a lot of money to the farm industry, right? But the hormones, Deborah, I pay $3 at
Yeah.
Amazon pharmacy. So who is gonna make campaign for awareness of the population? We are responsible for our campaign. That's the reality.
Yeah.
If we don't spread the news, that's why I try to tell most of the women that I see, if we don't spread this news, nobody's gonna make for us.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? But it is what it is, right? I think that's all right. We don't have more questions. So I'm gonna finalize here. See you next Tuesday. It's gonna be the second part of this that we are gonna start to learn how to make the diet in a way that give priority to yourself, because the key here is to leave the self-abandonment and start to love ourselves so much that we became our main project. Okay? Girls, see you next Tuesday. Bye.